Good afternoon and welcome back to the Yes Longevity Podcast, where we give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. Hi, I'm Chris Borda, best-selling author and owner of Y.E.S Fitness. If you don't know who I am, on this snowy Tuesday afternoon in Burlington, Connecticut, I am all bundled up today because it is cold in here. For some reason, we can't get the gym warmed up, so it's a little bit cool in here today. So we don't really have much housekeeping going on right now, I don't think. We're open, I think Monday's a holiday. We are open on Monday. That's not going to stop us from being open. The next time we are closed, other than due to bad weather, would be Memorial Day weekend. So it's a long stretch here. We're open for a long time. So today's topic of discussion is good foods versus bad foods. And I wanted to discuss this because this past Sunday was Super Bowl Sunday. And Super Bowl Sunday is synonymous with parties, foods, and alcohol. And I'm always amazed at what people have labeled as good food or bad food or healthy food or fattening food, food that's going to make us lean, foods that make us feel good, guilty, all that kind of stuff. So I thought I would just talk about this a little bit because in reality, there are no good foods or bad foods. So for some people, bread is bad. And anyone who could eat bread isn't eating very healthy. And for others, carbs are bad. Anyone who eats carbs isn't eating healthy. And for some people, eggs are bad. And if you're eating eggs, you're not eating healthy. And same thing for meat. Hey, you know what? If you're eating meat, you're not eating healthy. And for some people, alcohol is bad. And anyone who drinks alcohol isn't being healthy. And the list just goes on and on like that, right? There's all kinds of lists of foods, of what foods are good and what foods are bad, what foods are healthy, what foods aren't good for us at all. And there really is no such thing as a bad food. A few things really amaze me when it comes to this mentality. First, very, very few foods either qualify as good or bad. It's important to note that most foods don't really carry an inherent goodness or badness in the chemical structure. Instead, it's our own physiological environment that sets up the stage to how the food reacts within our bodies. That's really what we need to take a look at. It's not the food. So for example, if you've got kidney disease, okay? A high protein intake probably isn't good for you. However, if you've got healthy kidneys and you regularly exercise, a high protein intake probably is good for you. It's probably pretty good for you, especially if you're trying to put some muscle on your body. You want to have a little bit of a higher protein intake. Bad kidneys, not a good food. Trying to put some muscle mass on or you're healthy, a little bit more protein is okay. Likewise, let's say you've got liver disease. Well, drinking alcohol is probably really bad for you. But if you've got a healthy liver, borderline high cholesterol, moderate alcohol intake probably is pretty good for you. So now, let's not be mistaken here, okay? Let's not make sure we know what we're talking about. What I've got to say here, some foods offer little physiological value, like trans fats and other artificial foods, artificial additives, artificial ingredients. And even with 100% natural foods, gross consumption isn't a solid idea either. Take the vegetarian who only eats soy as their protein source throughout their entire day. So the only thing they're eating is soy. Or take the bodybuilder whose protein consists of canned tuna for weeks and weeks on end up until their contest. Sure, tuna and soy foods are natural, and eaten in moderation can contribute to a healthy diet. But keep in mind, there's always that moderation thing, okay? We always got to keep moderation in mind. Too much of anything, even a good food, can become bad in a hurry, but only if it's healthy. So if you stick with natural foods that you're not allergic to, and eat them in moderation, the body does a pretty good job of processing them and doing the right thing with these calories. Whole foods, pardon me, not whole foods, actually whole eggs may be quite beneficial. I know eggs have got a bad rap out there right now, right? Or they have for a long time. So they may be beneficial. This is because eggs are introduced into a healthy, well-functioning physiology. Eggs are going to give you quality calories, complete proteins, vitamins, minerals, some saturated fat to balance out other dietary fat, and some cholesterol for optimal hormone production. However, while in the environment of an unhealthy body, eggs may be harmful. This is because a person's cholesterol may be already be high, their dietary fat intake is probably way out of balance. They may be overweight and requiring fewer calories, and their insulin levels are high from too many carbohydrates and sugars, forcing that fat into fat cells rather than being turned into energy. So you have to take a look at the environment. Besides, the liver may be damaged and may not be processing the cholesterol appropriately. From there, the GI tract may be damaged and poorly absorbing the protein, or absorb the protein undigested. In either scenario, it's not good. So you see, same egg, different consequences. Meanwhile, it's not the egg's fault per se. It's the environment the eggs, protein, and the fats are introduced into. It isn't the egg's fault. In the end, it's a myriad of factors that go into how a portion of the food behaves in our bodies. And it's important to look at foods differently. Rather than suggesting eggs equals bad, or that any food equals bad for that matter, it's important to start to ask ourselves whether we've taken care of the things that we can do to ensure that whole natural foods contribute to our health. So in essence, it's high time to stop looking for scapegoat foods and instead, let's be honest here. Let's take care of ourselves. Most of us don't exercise enough. Most of us don't get enough sleep. Most of us don't play enough. And most of us don't de-stress enough. Most of us don't eat the right balance of foods often enough. And most of us don't stop eating before we've eaten too much. No surprise that eggs or butter, meat, bread, pasta, rice, and many other foods are getting a bad rap because of all that. In the type of physiological environments we dump them into, and in the amounts we're dumping, of course they're not helping us. And no matter plant-based diets are getting so popular right now, plants have a host of medical benefits. So, they can help us remedy some of our lifestyle problems discussed above. And that's great. However, what if we stopped misusing our bodies? What if we took care of ourselves? Maybe we wouldn't need to shun so many foods. Maybe we wouldn't have to treat our disease and disorders with ridiculously high numbers of plant foods. Maybe then we'd be able to eat more diverse selection of foods while achieving even greater health ends. So it's time to stop thinking so simplistically about food. And again, it's rarely the food, especially in a whole natural state. That's problematic. It's our own environment. It's the physiology we dump it into. Fix the environment with the right amount of exercise, sleep, right balance of fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats, and life that includes active relaxation strategies. It's really tough right now with the pandemic. Do this, and almost any natural food fits right into our diets. There's no counting calories required. There's no deprivation and depression. There's no food cravings and obsessions. Just a healthy relationship with our body, with our refrigerator. So for the Super Bowl, and this is why I thought about this. For the Super Bowl, at my house, we have a little family party. Obviously, this time this year, pandemic People probably didn't have as many parties as they normally do. We typically don't have a party at my house. They're just a little family gathering because we like to watch the game. And at this party, yes, there were wings there, and there was pizzas and pig in a blanket, chips, and so forth. There was a lot of foods that people may say, hey, you know what? That stuff's not healthy. It's not good for you. Now, I say this because maybe you're shocked because there's perception that I eat healthy all the time. And I don't eat healthy all the time. You see, in people's minds, many of the foods I ate were decadent or off limits for a healthy person like myself. I'm a guy with good blood profile. My body fat percentage is under 20. I exercise. I get my sleep. I de-stress. I do all those things. Excuse me. So I hate to disappoint you, but I do eat like that sometimes, and it's okay. I'm not going to get unhealthy from that. I'm not going to get overweight because of that. I'm going to enjoy myself, and I'm going to move on. And mentally, in my mind, I don't label them as unhealthy foods or foods that are bad for me or foods that I should never eat because life is too short to live like that. So is it a cheat meal? You might say that, but I eat healthy most of the time. And to straying isn't going to affect my health in any way. To stray like that. If I was to eat like that all the time, absolutely. But for a party like that, a Super Bowl party, when the other 6 days of the week I ate real well, it's not going to happen. Some people view food very simply like that. It's either good for you or it's not. It either tastes great or it's not. And those two may never shall meet. You might be saying, hey, you know what? I blew it because I had pizza. I blew my diet because I had pizza. Well, what if that pizza was very slim thighs? What if that pizza was thin sliced? About a third of the calories of a regular slice of pizza. It was loaded with veggies, good veggies, lower in carb than most pizzas. Didn't have a ton of cheese on it. It's going to be full of protein, and the pizza tasted fantastic. That wouldn't be blowing my diet. So here's some of the takeaway lessons for today, okay? Looking at food as good versus bad is overly simplistic and will lead to poor decision making and a lot of confusion. Instead of trying to stay away from bad foods, try this instead. Eat mostly foods that are minimally processed and eat a wide variety of them so that you never obsess too much on one single natural food. Complement your natural food diet with proper rest, exercise, and play so your physiology is primed for eating a healthy amount of good tasting natural foods. Good nutrition isn't that complicated. It just takes a little bit of thought, decision making, and perspective. And when you lose your perspective, that's when you get into a little bit of food paranoid. So start convincing yourself today, okay, that certain foods are off limits if you want to be lean, healthy, and perform at a high level. You start setting up a restrictive set of rules in your mind that doesn't need to be there. You start judging yourself harshly when it comes to eating related decisions. You start thinking in black and white without noticing and embracing the shades of gray. But here's the great news, okay? It's never too late to make a change. It's never too late for you to forge a more healthy, mature, and reasonable relationship with your food. It's your time to become your healthiest, fittest self ever. This past year, this pandemic has taken a real negative effect on our health with lack of movement, lack of sleep, more sitting around watching TV, eating poorly, gaining weight, not de-stressing. All this stuff is really taking an effect on our health. Most people know that regular movement, eating well, sleep, stress management is important for looking and feeling better. Yet, they need help applying the knowledge in the context of the busy and sometimes stressful lives. And if this is a case with you, give me a call and let's set up a strategy session. It's a complimentary strategy session. We can take a look at some things that you can do better, and maybe we can help you here. Okay? That's what I have for you today. Let's stop thinking about bad foods and good foods. Let's think of more in a complex fashion of how we're eating these foods and the type of body and lifestyle that we have that we're presenting these foods to. And then we can make better, healthy choices in our lives. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me this afternoon. I'm always grateful, especially with our busy lives that we have. And if you're looking for more information, more tips on how to get fit, feel younger, and live healthy, drop by next Tuesday at 3:30, and I'll give you some more insight. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there in the snow, and have a great evening.